Good morning, genealogy friends, and Happy New Year. Here we all are in 2021. This is my first video for 2021, and I am very excited to be here. I am going to do a little pep talk today. I have a lot of new things coming at you this month, and I was going to just jump right in, but over the holidays, we had a bit of a surge of people joining the page, people following me on Instagram, people following me on YouTube, and I wanted to do something just to sort of welcome the new year. Say hello, 2021. A lot of us had a really rough 2020. Some of us definitely more than others. Good morning, everybody. And 2021, I think that some of us are going into the year with trepidation only because of how heartily we might have welcomed 2020, not knowing what was coming at us for the next 12 months. So I wanted to talk about family history, staying motivated, not feeling overwhelmed or discouraged by all of the things that you feel like you have to do to be successful. And mostly I just wanted to say hi and Happy New Year. So let me flip this around. Hello. I hope that you guys all had a nice break, a nice holiday if you were able to take one. I think I said it a couple times last week. Is my hand over the microphone? No. So New Year's is my favorite holiday. I love New Year's more than Christmas, more than Halloween, more than anything else, because I love the idea of fresh starts, and I also love the idea of wrapping things up with a bow, even rotten years like 2020. Now we have the gift of being able to look back over the last 12 months with perspective, being able to tell those stories, sort of having a nice fat finish on the year. And I really like that. But mostly I just love the idea of starting a new year fresh and thinking about the things that I want to accomplish during a new year, but also feeling a lot of gratitude for the chance to get to start a new year. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. There are going to be some of you who are logging on and thinking, okay, you promised us new pages. You've also promised us a book and a course, and now you're just being peppy. Stop being annoying. Where's our stuff? New pages are coming, but I'm not talking about them until Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the course and the book on Friday. New stuff is coming. It's all coming. It's coming a little slower than I thought it was going to because I have 3 children and took a lot of December to enjoy just the holidays with my family. But new stuff is coming, but we'll talk about that later because I want to talk about cheerful Pollyanna stuff this morning. And it's my show, so I get to. So bear with my annoying optimism this morning. So as you're thinking about what you want to accomplish with your family history this year, in the next couple of years, whatever, you are very likely to have a lot of feelings about family history. Now, some of us might just feel overwhelmingly happy when they think about the stuff that they're going to do. I am lucky enough to be in that position, but it took me a while to get here. And part of that was that I struggled with a lot of muck, a lot of feeling stuck in certain feelings, and it took me a while to pull myself out of them. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. If you're super happy with your family history, you're just raring to go, you have no negative feelings whatsoever, then, feel free to hang out and have tea with us, but this might not be completely for you. But this is more for people who, occasionally struggle with feeling like they don't have control of their family history, they don't really have a plan, or they just don't like where they are. And I completely get that. So one of the biggest things that I will say to stay positive about having control of your family history, feeling like you are in control of what you want to do, is to make sure that you have a plan, which that's all about having intention and direction. Having a plan mostly means having a goal. I think a lot of times people think of having a plan as having those steps, like a plan to lose weight is all about doing, 180 minutes a day on an elliptical. But really, the plan's more about your goal, which is to lose weight. And if you keep the goal in mind, then it might give you a better perspective on whether or not steps are reasonable. I don't know. I can't do 180 minutes on the elliptical. I have had plans like that before. That's never worked. Even though my goal has stayed consistent, I've had to change the ways that I'm going to get there. Family history is a lot like that. It's like anything else. So, you know, the thing is, you want to start with the goal, but then you do want to so start with the goal and then think about how you're going to get there and make sure that you're giving yourself enough time, enough space, enough grace that you aren't setting yourself up to feel like you're failing this plan that you created. My kids do this all the time and I hate it. Or my kids will tell themselves that this is what they said that they were going to do and they didn't do it, and therefore that must mean that they've failed. They're bad at something. This is not, the plan is supposed to be ever changing. The goal is not supposed to change unless for some reason you've really picked the wrong goal. The plan is ever changing. You can wake up on a Tuesday and be differently equipped than you were on Monday to reach your goal. That's fine. The goal stays consistent. The plan changes. You just want to make sure that you have a plan so that you know what you're doing. Now, when you come up against challenges in family history work, well, and I guess in life, but I don't want to go too Pollyanna. We really are talking about just genealogy. But one of the main ways, I'm going to talk about my kids a lot because I talk to my kids about this stuff a lot. But when they hit challenges, we try to really, really focus on what is your mindset? Are you able to respond to this challenge with positivity? And what does positivity mean? Does positivity mean that in the face of a challenge, like something terrible happened, you go, oh, it's not terrible, it's fine? No, that's not positivity. That's insanity half the time. Challenges happen and they don't feel good and they're really disruptive. And sometimes what happens is the exact opposite of what you wanted to happen. And you have big feelings about that and you're supposed to. But you still need to respond to those things if you can with as much gratitude and perspective as possible, only because that's going to help you, not because that means that the challenge didn't happen or now you have superpowers and you can just hurdle over the challenge. It's just, you don't want to get mucked down by stuff if you can avoid it. Feel your big feelings, but try to stay with that idea of gratitude and having perspective. So I want to talk about 3 of the big challenges that I struggled with because I think that these are things that people run into a lot. One of the biggest that I hit was what I would call the Vegas mentality, where I would start on something and it wouldn't be working for me. But in my head, I would think, I've put so much time or money or both into this, I have to keep going. And that's the Vegas mentality because it's like playing 21 in Vegas and you've lost so much money that you've gone past what you originally said. Okay, I'm only going to spend this much. You've lost so much money that in your head, you're like, I have to keep sitting here playing because I have to get my money back. I've lost too much money. I've been here for 4 hours and I've lost all this money. I have to keep going so that I get my money back. Super dangerous mentality. Obviously, there's probably some mathematical number for how long can you sit there before, okay, sure, maybe you'll win your money back. But the whole Vegas thing about the house always wins. If you are pouring yourself into something that isn't working for you, you're probably pouring yourself into something that's actually like not leading you towards your goal. You can't be successful working towards something you don't want is the easiest way to say that. Really obvious non-genealogical example from my life is the fact that I have a law degree from a really good law school and I passed the bar in Ohio. I had a job as a lawyer. I don't do that anymore. I don't think I ever would have been really successful as a lawyer because I really didn't like it. But I could have been successful in the sense of I would have had a really steady paycheck. I would have continued to be employable. I would have been able to wear nice suits and leave for work looking important and very busy. I didn't want to be a lawyer. It took me, unfortunately, until the year after law school to really cement how much I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to do it. So no amount of pouring myself into that was going to fix the fact that I didn't want to be there. I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I left law. I just knew I didn't want that. And I'm so happy that I made that decision, even though it was super scary. Now in a genealogical, family history, if we're going to shrink it down to what I'm supposed to be talking to you about, I have done so many different approaches to family history. I started as a scrapbooker back around 2000 when everybody was scrapbooking. I bought all the pages, I bought all the page protectors, I bought all the stickers and the stamps. I cut original photos into little shapes with fancy scissors and stuff like that. And I made tons of scrapbooks, and they never felt like me, but they looked like they were supposed to in the magazines. They looked like the scrapbook pages that my friends were making, or we actually went to scrapbook parties. I don't know if any of you ever can identify with this, but we made pages where we all made the same layout with our own photos, and we all had these matching. And I was really, really good at scrapbooking, but I never really liked it. I would finish with these scrapbooks and they just didn't hold. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And then I ended up with shelves of scrapbooks that I had constructed that were not me. After that, what else have I done? I did Project Life for a little while. I have a whole stack of unopened Project Life things that I bought when I was pregnant with my son who is down the hall doing algebra right now. I've never opened them. I had big file boxes that I bought, and I bought multicolored hanging folders, and I made a little file for every single one of my ancestors. And I told myself, everybody will have their own file. I mean, you can see how I'm getting closer to what I ultimately wanted to do, but what ended up is I had then boxes, and if I had a photo of 3 people, I had to figure out, okay, whose file do I put this in, and how do I remember? And by the way, I'm now storing Xerox paper with newspapers with photos in the same hanging folder, and that doesn't seem to be like a good idea because look at all this acid eating everything. I have behind me, I don't know, I mean, I've got books. See those little gold books right there on the shelf? Those hold family trees that I tried to write out back when I decided I was going to have family history bullet journals and they were going to hold everything. Don't do that. That didn't make any sense for anybody. And it took years. And now I have a system of pages. You guys, a lot of you are using them too. I love them. They do for my family history what I wanted them to do. They give me a way to organize it. They give me lots of space to tell stories. They give me a way to duplicate things. That was what I needed for my family history. That's not going to be for everybody. I mean, this is the other thing. Like from a business standpoint, I shouldn't say this because I should just be telling you, oh, by the way, I sell these things. They're going to solve all your problems and make your life better. So just, start 2021 by giving me $29. The reality is my system's not going to be for everybody. I'm not for everybody. There are people out there who would just completely resonate with scrapbooking or with Project Life or with having the hanging file folders. That's their thing. If you're not in your thing, recognize it and don't do the Vegas thing where you pour yourself into it again. It doesn't matter how much time you've spent fighting with the software on your computer if the software is not organizing your family history the way you want it to. It doesn't matter how many, binders you've made if the way that you organized your binders doesn't please you. Just pull the stuff out and redo it. It's just not worth it. Move towards the goal of whatever it is that you actually want to accomplish, not what you think you should or what you've now invested yourself into. So that's a big one. Speaking like the same vein, the whole idea of regret, one of the other things that I struggled with is this past year, 2020, was the first full year that that my grandparents were all gone. My grandmother died at the end of 2019. And so, we spent part of 2020 doing estate stuff, things like that. And now doing family history going forward. I don't have that generation to talk to share things with, to, have them answer my questions. When I first got married, 10 something years ago at this point, I went out to Napa, California for 3 or 4 weeks and lived with my grandparents by myself. I actually got hired to go out there and do the costumes for a production of Beauty and the Beast. Randomly, I used to do costumes for theater productions. I went to a college on a theater scholarship, and this is right after I stopped being a lawyer, so I was flailing hard, and they hired me to do this. I spent 3 weeks living with my grandparents, where I would sew and help out at the theater, but a lot of the time we were just hanging out. I spent a lot of time, talking to them and things. At the time, for our wedding, my best friend had given us a really, really nice video camera. And, the nicest that you could get at the time. We'd used it to shoot part of our honeymoon, things like that. I'm pretty sure I even might have had that with me on this trip. I did not interview my grandparents, either on film or not, during that whole trip. When we talked about stories, I didn't write them down. I didn't go through old photos with them. I didn't ask them if there were any 8mm film reels hiding in Grandpa's closet with incredibly nondescript titles like Beach. I think about the time that I spent there and all of the things that I could have accomplished when they were still there, and how I would have had that jump on not only getting things done, but I would have been able to create these things that I then could have shared with them, and that we would have had these conversations. I mean, when I think about that, I get mucked down into regret. And it's a little depressing because it makes me focus on the things that I lost, these like imaginary things that, it's not like I really had them, but like, oh, it could have been if I'd only done this. It's not helpful. It doesn't. And thinking about that will get you to the place of feeling like you shouldn't continue with your family history work, or, well, you missed the boat, so don't wait for the next boat. Like, just walk away from the dock. You don't want to do that. I am very, very grateful that I had the time with them. I'm also very grateful that now I know better. Now I have different tools. Now I've done a lot of research and I've uncovered a lot of things about their lives, even though they're no longer here for me to talk to them about. I can talk to my mom and her aunts and their family. I mean, there's a lot to be grateful for. There's no point in going over and over again, oh, I wish I, coulda, woulda, shoulda. It just doesn't help anything. If you are feeling discouraged too, because sometimes it's not necessarily about the things that we've missed. Sometimes it's just, let's say that you're doing a lot of family history work and you can't get your family interested, or you're doing a lot of family history work and maybe you're in the position where you're not really sure, you're getting a little existential with the who is it all for. Maybe people aren't interested, or maybe there's not anybody for you to leave it to. I do get notes and comments. I see that on Genealogy Facebook groups a lot, where people just kind of feel like, okay, I like doing this, but I've put all these hours in, and who is it for? What is it for? Why am I doing this? I think that can feel really rough. I want to remind you that if you enjoy doing family history, which family history is the greatest hobby ever, so hopefully it just brings you joy by itself. But, you can't always see what it's for if you're in the middle of it. It's just really hard sometimes to see the forest when you're a tree. If you enjoy doing it, that's what you need to focus on. Focus on how grateful you are that you can do it, how many tools there are now, what you've done already, how many opportunities you have this year, the new year, to learn. You've got classes you can take. You've got videos on YouTube. You've got podcasts. You have free articles that are coming out. You're going to read something that hasn't been written yet that's going to change the way that you do something in family history and make it easier. That's really exciting. So focus on the process, on the positive feelings that you're getting right now. And honestly, the why are you doing it will take care of itself. It just will. And that might sound super Pollyanna, but there's no other way to look at it. It's not always for you to know, what happens after you, I guess is the way that I want to say that. But if you just focus on the gratitude and the positive energy, I promise it will take care of itself. The really practical stuff I always tell people is, there's always historical societies, but you'd probably be surprised about how much your family might value the work that you're doing, even if they seem like they're disinterested. I was not as interested as I should have been when I was staying with my grandparents. I certainly wasn't as interested 10 years earlier when I was in junior high school and I was just trying to get people to like me and, or whatever, 10, 20 years, man. Yeah. It just might take them a little while, and maybe you'll be there when they get there and maybe you won't. Not for you to know. So, and the other thing is, if you feel these feelings of regret, of discouragement, of just feeling like, okay, I kind of like doing family history, but why am I doing it? And, oh, I wish I'd done this. And, oh, we had a house fire and I lost all these photos. And because I lost them, it just makes me not want to do any of it. If you want to keep going and you want to keep enjoying it, you have to surround yourself with positive people. That is so necessary. And I think people really underestimate how important that is. but I'm actually a really introverted person. I'm not super social. I'm incredibly awkward when people meet me in person. Part of that is the autism, and part of it is probably just because I'm like a naturally awkward person. I have a really hard time with things like facial cues and not just blurting out whatever I'm thinking. But I have figured out I still need my people. Introverted as I am, I have to have my people, and I have to have the right people. When I want to talk about genealogy forever and be annoying and Pollyanna about it, or just be really nerdy and get into land records and things like that, I don't call my friends from high school. I don't call my husband. I mean, I have before, and we're still married, thankfully, but really, like, the man's not that interested, and sometimes I feel like I'm punishing him. I come here. I talk to genealogy friends on here. I get on Instagram. I go into Facebook groups and chat with people. Those are my genealogy people. I have Marco Polo conversations that I have spoken to, where we've gone back and forth on polo 2 or 3 times a day, every single day for 2 or 3 years. I have one about running a small business. I love those women dearly, and we talk about business. I mean, we talk about other things sometimes, but mostly we talk about business, about how exciting it is to be an entrepreneur, about the fact that we're all moms running businesses. That's what we talk about. I have another group that is just for talking about health and wellness and fitness and what we're doing there. Those are my people to pump me up for that. And then I have my high school group when I just want to pop in and have people who don't really care about the minutia of what I'm doing with my day, but they're just there to say, oh, that sounds great, or that sounds rough, or hey, love you. And you have to know where your people are for whatever you need in the moment, and then you have to be able to access them. For genealogy, seriously, do not underestimate the importance of online relationships. I have friends in the genealogy community that I've never met. I have friends in the genealogy community who do not know that they are my friends. But the things that they have posted in Facebook groups or on Instagram, or comments that they've left me, or notes that they've sent me, have raised me up so much. I have people who have left Facebook comments on random things. I've printed them out and pasted them into my little journal because they touched me that much. These people have no idea. It doesn't matter. The relationship might be completely one-sided, but it does a lot for me. You can find people like that to do that for you for family history when you're feeling discouraged. And I will say, as Pollyanna as I can get, I definitely get overwhelmed and discouraged sometimes when I think about what I want to do. If you've ever done that thing where you decide that you're going to tackle a garage and you get as far as just getting all dusty and having boxes everywhere, and then you realize that you no longer have any energy, you hate your garage, and it might be better if you just set everything on fire, that feeling is not forever. But you might need to get a friend to tell you, you know what, keep going. You might need to take a step back and think, okay, I didn't get it all done, but look at what I accomplished today, and that's great. You might need to step back and think, I didn't have a plan when I walked into the garage and then took all the boxes out and put them on my driveway, and now I'm just standing here looking at my boxes. I should have gone into this with a plan. It doesn't mean you're never going to clean your garage. It just means that you might need to redirect your energy a little bit. So anyway, I've got lots of comments. I want to go back and read them because I was chattering and I didn't really catch up, but I just wanted to say Happy New Year. So talking about new pages on Wednesday, teaching on Thursday, and talking about the book and the course on Friday. And I'm not teaching tomorrow because I don't teach on Tuesdays because Tuesday is my mom day. So, all right, well, thanks for being here, you guys. Have a good day.